Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I've got a dozen articles for you, and all the URLs in the description of the video for your convenience. Conservative Tribune. It says, breaking. Acting FBI Director issues bombshell statement on Russia. We'll scroll her up here. Well, we're trying to scroll her up here. It's going a little slow. All right, here we go. Journalists have been trying to convince America that President Donald Trump fired former Evans Comey to hinder an investigation into Trump's alleged ties with Russia. But one of their storylines was recently shot down by a source. Almost Comey was dismissed by the president on Tuesday. It began reporting that the former FBI director had asked the Justice Department for additional resources. Trump Russia investigation. However, acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe told lawmakers that the Bureau already had sufficient resources and he was not aware of any request for more, according to records. Such as CNN had been reporting that Comey went to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein in early May and asked for more resources, specifically more personnel to be devoted to the Russian investigation. Unidentified sources supposedly familiar with the discussion about that request. On Thursday, McCabe indicated that it had not been made. Referring to the Russian investigation, I believe we have the adequate resources to know that we have resourced adequately. The Senate Intelligence Committee, adding that he was unaware by the agency for additional resources. The acting director wasn't the only one that the request had not actually been made. Isger Flores, department spokeswoman, spoken directly with Rosenstein about the alleged request, said that CNN's own report that the idea that Comey asked for more support for Russia inquiry was 100% false. Happened, she said in a statement, according to an ABC timeline of the event's firing. The statements from people with firsthand knowledge about whether the request was made stand in stark contrast to anonymous sourced reports in the mainstream media that have tried to frame the alleged request as some sort of evidence against Trump. First time at CNN. In fact, get this thing here. Hamster's out of control. There we go. In fact, the New York Times clear-cut evidence that the former FBI director believed his bureau needed more resources to handle a sprawling and highly politicized counterintelligence. But is it clear-cut if nobody knows this was actually made? The Times must be using the same clear-cut evidentiary standard they used when they suggested in October of 2016 that Trump had avoided paying his taxes, a claim that was proven wholly untrue by the release of the president's 2005 March. Same article about Comey, the Times also contended that he represented a fiercely independent official who wielded enormous power, who puts a premium on loyalty. Trump fired Comey over to him, particularly in regard to the Russia investigation. Media, fueled and operated by liberals, have become so intent on taking down the president, they ignore facts in an effort to paint Trump in a negative light. Even if the supposed request for more resources had been made, to prove what the media wants it to prove. At every angle, and common sense citizens Do you think more resources was made? Does it matter? The next article I have for you is off of Western journalism. Trump growing increasingly frustrated at ongoing Russian probe. The ongoing, whoops, slipped here on me. It's one of those now you see it, now you don't. Ongoing probe, collusion between Trump campaign and Russia may be getting into President Donald Trump's head. Told Politico that the president has grown increasingly frustrated by the unrelenting media focus on the Russian investigation. Trump would cite television clips about the investigation, according to one unnamed advisor. The firing of Comey caught most White House staffers off guard. One senior White House official told Politico, "Our phones all buzzed and people said, 'What?'" Grown angry with Comey informing the Senate that the FBI was investigating his campaign. He also refused Trump's claim that former President Barack Obama had Trump Tower surveilled during the campaign. They appreciate, whoops, it slipped again. Hamster greased the wheel or something today. While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau, Trump wrote in a letter Tuesday to Comey. The president thought that firing Comey would be a win-win, according to the White House officials. Comey had become a persona non grata in Washington, D.C. for his handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Democrats pinned the blame for Clinton's election loss on Comey's shoulders for his October 28th letter to Congress. The FBI had learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. Comey shirked his duty as the director of the FBI by assuming the role of a prosecutor in against Clinton in a July 5th news conference. Called Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer around 5 p.m. Tuesday, asking for his support to fire Comey. Schumer said he was making a big mistake. Trump became further frustrated Tuesday night when no one was publicly defending his decision to fire widely unpopular FBI director. The president received little support from his own party in the aftermath of Comey's firing. Senator John McCain, Republican of Trump's decision to fire the FBI director amid the ongoing Russia interference investigation. Grew frustrated as the night went on. "How are you not defending your position for 3 solid hours on TV?" one aide reportedly asked. Himself to defend his decision in a series of tweets Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning. Tweeted out, "Crime Chunk Schumer, I do not have confidence in him, James Comey, any longer. Then acts so indignant." Comey lost the confidence of almost everyone in Washington, Republican and Democrat alike. "When things calm down, they will be thanking me," the president tweeted. The next article that I have, Pamela Geller. Well, we're waiting for the hamster. In New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie vetoes child marriage ban. As soon as the hamster decides to get with us here and scream. I think he took a break. Here we go. Governor Chris Christie stood in opposition that would have banned underage marriage freedom. Does Christie sanction female genital mutilation, gender apartheid, creed apartheid, and Islamic Jew hatred, citing religious freedom. Advised that Governor Christie would come to law. This is the man who said share law business is just crap, and I'm tired of dealing with the crazies. How about victims of child marriage, forced marriage? Is he tired of dealing with those crazies too? New Jersey Governor Chris Christie conditionally vetoed legislation Thursday that would have banned all underage marriage in New Jersey. To change current New Jersey law, 16 and 17-year-olds to get married with parental consent, and those under the age of 16 to marry with the approval of family court judge. A Republican sponsored the bill, but Christie stood in opposition, citing religious freedom and noting the age of consent in New Jersey is 16. Unchained at Last, a non-profit group that seeks to help women in arranged and forced marriages, estimates there have been at least 3,600 marriages in New Jersey involving someone under the age of 18 between 1995 and 166 of those involved children 15 years old or younger. The shocking truth is that child marriage is legal right now in New Jersey, and it's shocking that thousands of children have been married here recently, most of them minor girls married to adult men. Executive director of Unchained at Last said in a committee hearing, according to Politico. Once all marriages involving children under the age of 16 banned, but suggests allowing 16 and 17-year-olds the oversight of a judge. Christie said, given state laws governing sex and abortion, it is disingenuous to hold that a 16-year-old may never consent to marriage. Without exemptions, the cultures and traditions of some communities in New Jersey based on religious traditions, a veto message, according to Philly.com. Judicial oversight would permit consideration of these factors in the 16 and 17-year-old time frame. Next article is off Breitbart. The hamster's running as fast as he can go. Well, come on, hamster. Come on. There we go. 6 Latin King gangsters charged in street stabbing, beating of crippled man. Get this to scroll up here a little bit for us. Prosecutors charged 6 members of the violent Latin King street gang with stabbing and beating a handicapped man. He punched and beat the victim with his own cane. District Attorney Richard A. Brown said that the defendants are each accused of brutally attacking a young man for no reason other than he was not part of the Latin Kings. Will not be tolerated in Queens County, Brown said. The defendants' poor choice in pursuing gang membership and the violence that are part of that lifestyle have led charged with serious felonies that carry the possibility of lengthy prison sentences. A Queens County grand jury indicted 6 members of the violent Latin King street gang. They are charged with attempted murder and gang assault in October 2016 attack on a 24-year-old man, according to a statement from Queens County District Attorney. Their names here: Michael Agundi, Doy, Jordan Leon, Wilson Matute, Mace Canella, and Louis Minchala were each charged with 1 count of second-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree gang assault. 1 count of first-degree assault, 2 counts of first-degree robbery, 1 count of second-degree robbery, and 1 count of second-degree assault. 6 Latin Kings members approached the 24-year-old outside a bar during the early morning hours of October the 29th, 2016, and began attacking him and stabbing him. The Latin Kings used a cane with him as a weapon against him. Beat him mercilessly with it, prosecutors stated. Following the attack, 6 gang members fled the scene. Transported the victim to a nearby hospital where he received treatment for multiple stab wounds and lacerations to his head and neck. The victim suffered nerve damage to his left arm, which has left him arm and hand. The judge in the case ordered the 6 defendants back to court on July 10th of 2017. The gang members each face up to 25 years in prison if the next off of Western journalism. It says, James Comey admits Trump had the right to fire him. Terminated former FBI Director James Comey admitted in a letter sent to Wednesday that President Donald Trump retains the right to fire anyone in the position at his discretion. I have long believed that President can fire an FBI director for any reason or no reason at all, he wrote in a letter reportedly obtained by CNN. To spend time on the decision or the way it was executed, I hope you won't either. And the letter reads, to all, I have long believed that the president can fire an FBI director for any reason or no reason at all. I'm not going to spend time on the decision or the way it was executed. I hope you won't either. It is done, although I will miss you and the mission deeply. I have said to you before that in times of turbulence, the American people should see the FBI as a rock of competence and independence. What makes the FBI hard is the nature and quality of its people. Make it that rock for America. It is very hard to lead the group of people who are committed only to doing the right thing. My hope is that you will continue to live our values and the mission of protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution. If you do that, be sad when you leave. We'll be safer. It's been one of the greatest joys of my life. Thank you for that gift, Jim Comey. And, Jim Scioto tweeted that letter and then says, first on CNN, Staff Comey says he is a long believed president could fire FBI director for any reason or no reason at all. The former director penned the letter. There we go. Penned the letter less than 24 hours after the president fired him for his position in what was unexpected decision that triggered shockwaves through the political world, leading liberal to publish piece after piece suggesting that Comey terminated of Nixonian corruption. Reportedly jumped on the bandwagon as well, with celebrities arguing in tweets that the president's decision had thrust America into a full-blown constitutional crisis. Conservative and libertarian media attempted to counter this narrative by offering their own take on the firing, maintaining essentially the same argument by Comey. Trump has the legal authority to dismiss. Oops. And it here we're going to get that shut off. I think we got that under control. Straightened out here because it jumped. Okay, since Trump has the legal authority, the FBI, for good reason, a insincere reason or no reason at all, constitutional crisis is more than a little premature, wrote Jacob Sullum, leading libertarian monthly magazine Reason. Under the Constitution, noted South Texas College of Law professor Josh Blackman absolute power to fire principal officers such as Director Comey at will. In that sense, Trump's actions were entirely constitutional. Argued that the former director be fired, believe, were a series of missteps and mistakes made by him during the past year, as well as what they said was his obsession with his own reputation. Mr. Comey has always been most concerned with the politics of his own reputation, wrote the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal in a scathing column published on Wednesday. Himself as the last honest man in Washington, dangled insinuations across his career about the George W. Bush White House and surveillance, then Mrs. Clinton and emails, now Mr. Trump and Russia. He is political in precisely the way in precisely the way we don't want a leader of America's premier law enforcement agency to behave. Some were also critical of the former director over his decision not to pursue charges against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, despite there being an abundance of abundance of evidence showing she had violated the law. What Comey did on July the 5th of last year in announcing his decision not to recommend charges against Hillary Clinton in the email investigation was a travesty. Porhetz, editor of Commentary magazine. Next article is off of Liberty Headlines. It says James Comey rejects investigation, or I'm sorry, wow. James Comey rejects invitation to testify before the Senate. Former FBI Director James Comey has rejected an invitation to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee. Comey, who was fired on Tuesday by President Trump, was invited for a closed session before the panel when Richard Burr, Republican of North Carolina, and Vice Chairman Senator Mark Warner, Democrat of Virginia. NBC Friday afternoon, they appeared before the committee on Tuesday. It was confirmed to the Washington Examiner would committee behind closed doors next week. It is our hope in the not too distant future that we can find a time for Comey to come in and talk to our committee, Warner said on MSNBC, leading the FBI's investigation into Russia's interference with the 2016 election and alleged coordination with the Trump campaign before he was fired. The closed session would have been since his White House departure and would have been a chance for him to tell lawmakers more details surrounding the FBI's ongoing investigation and his sudden firing. To meet with the panel comes after a Friday tweet by issued a warning to the ousted FBI head. Comey better hope that there's no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. Tweet. The next article is off of Liberty Writers. Trump said 2 words to James Comey that will bury him forever. Trump just broke his silence on why he fired James Comey. It's simple. Trump thinks that the FBI director is a showboat. He's a grandstander. The FBI has been in turmoil, Trump told the interviewer. 3 years ago that President Barack Obama, that the president has the authority to fire the director. I had dinner with him. He wanted to have dinner because he wanted to stay on. We had very nice dinner at the White House, Trump said. Interview here in a URL or video in this URL says he asked for dinner. Holt followed up. What was arranged the dinner, the president hedged, and he wanted to stay on as the FBI head. And I said, I'll consider, and we'll see what happens. But we had a very nice dinner, and at that time, he told me, you are not under investigation, Trump said. Comey because he wasn't good at his job just a couple of weeks ago. And an example of it, there's a URL that link here to read up on that. And then let's see, the next one is off of BizPack Review. House Democrats demand President Trump release White House Comey tapes to them. President Trump's Friday morning tapes tweet directed at former FBI Director James Comey has caused quite a ruckus among conspiratorial media types. After all, it's hard not to resist the temptation to channel Nixon when the president alludes that he could be taping conversations in the White House. It says James Comey to the press. Whether or not the White House reached conversations with FBI Director Comey, White House press secretary issued the proverbial thrice denial, or at least he issued 3 denial, or something along those lines. I've talked to the president, and the president has nothing further to add. Spicer said in response to the first question. When pressed 2 other times, Spicer said, as I mentioned, the president has nothing further to add on that. I said for the 3rd time, there is nothing further to add on that. NBC Nightly News tweeted out, breaking, the White House refuses to confirm or deny President Trump has recorded devices in the Oval Office or residence. Lawrence O'Donnell seems ticked. He tweeted out, real Donald Trump, you are obviously in full panic mode, and you will be until your last day in the White House. But the thing is, with the hysterical forces arrayed against Trump pounding at him from every possible angle, why would the president not want to protect himself by taping the White House conversations? After all, according to PolitiFact, it's totally legal. Experts we contacted agreed that the controlling law would be that of the District of Columbia, and D.C. laws allow one-party consent taping. That means as long as one participant in the conversation is aware that a recording is being made. There's no federal or D, which I'm aware, that makes it illegal to record a conversation in the District of Columbia. Stephen I. Valdek, professor at the University of Texas Law School, says regard to whether such recordings might themselves be evidence of other criminal activity matter altogether. But Dems, seeking a Ruskie in every closet, are now demanding that Trump release any communications between himself and Comey. Dems put out a tweet saying, breaking, top House Dems to White House. We need tapes and all communication between Trump and Comey. There's arguments for both sides. One tweets out here, they can demand all they want until they get a subpoena. They can pound. Another one says, the proper response to this dipshittery is kiss my ass, you get nothing. I was going to tell y'all not to hold your breath, but after much consideration, please do. The trouble getting a subpoena. Then show them that they were chasing a ghost all this time. All the while, keep doing that crucial job of making America great again. On you. Guilty, guilty, guilty. President Trump says Comey should have never exonerated Hillary Clinton. Criticized former FBI Director Comey for caving into pressure and absolving Hillary Clinton. Comey should have never exonerated her, Trump said in excerpts of the NBC News interview released, reflected on the disgraceful way the former FBI chief handled the investigation into former Secretary of State's use of a private email server. And he had a lot of pressure put on. Exonerated her, Trump told Lester Holt. Exonerated her. Trump acknowledged that the attention on the probe during the election season worked in his favor, citing the July 2016 press declared the FBI would not recommend charges against Clinton. That what he did, what Comey did, had good moments for me as candidate. I'm only talking as candidate. I'm not saying as president, Trump said. With the scathing set of circumstances, the server, the illegal server, the emails, 33,000 emails that you, and then you don't show and you don't erase those, you delete them, you get rid of them, you acid wash them. When he did that, When he did all that stuff, it was disgraceful. Everything, point after point. Watching that, I happen to have lawyers, unrelated lawyers, and they would say, wow, she's guilty here, guilty, guilty, guilty. Then he gets to the end and he says she's free as a bird. Comey reopened the case in late October, just weeks before the election, but ultimately found no new evidence. Clinton blamed the timing of these announcements for costing her. The president fired Comey on Tuesday, surprising many, including the FBI chief himself. The next article is also off of BizPac Review. And it says, will a new FBI director reopen the case against Hillary Clinton? Working overtime to tie of FBI Director James Comey to their allegations of collusion between President Donald Trump and the Russians in the 2016 election, but there may be far more reaching implication of his dismissal as the reopening of the case against Hillary Clinton for mishandling classified information. The former FBI agent Brian Widner news the case may be revisited, noting that the window of opportunity is still there. A tweet saying Comey firing could spur new review of Clinton case immunity deals, ex-agent says. Surprised if they did not review all the investigations regarding HRC and come up with a conclusion. The statute of limitations hasn't come into play yet, he said in an email. Immunity deal struck in the case change, but suggested that a new attorney general and new director may take a good look at the entire case. And if anyone immunity did not live up to their agreement, like Huma Abedin, with the classified documents on her computer, the deal is off and they are potentially targets again. The news on Friday that Comey should have never been exonerated. Or try this again. That Comey should never have exonerated Clinton. There we go. Happened, he had a lot of pressure put on and he exonerated her, he said. Should have never exonerated her. The Bureau took a huge, morale at the Bureau took a huge hit. That decision. Acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe told a Senate panel on Thursday. He also said Comey's firing would have no impact on the FBI's ongoing inquiries into possible collusion between Trump campaign officials and the Russian government. Comey, a showboat and a grandstander, in his interview with NBC News, spoke of turmoil within the Bureau. The FBI has been in turmoil, he said. You know that, I know that, everybody knows that. You look at the FBI a year ago, it was in virtual turmoil, less than a year ago from that. That is off of Liberty Writers. Was fired, the new FBI director did something big to hurt Trump. This is not a good sign at all for President Donald Trump. Just 2 days after firing James Comey, the new McCabe has come out against the president. The press secretary declared that the FBI had lost faith in Director Comey and they were near revolting. Apparently, that may not have been true. When asked about that statement, FBI Director McCabe revealed during White House oversight hearing today, the majority of FBI employees enjoyed a deep positive connection to Director Comey, he says. He went on to tell the congressman listening, I can tell you also that Director Comey enjoyed broad support within the FBI and still does to this day. Organization, we are 36,500 people across this country, across the globe. Clearly somebody was lying. Maybe Sarah Huckabee is not advisor, or maybe the new FBI boss is just covering for Comey. Either way, the one thing for sure here is that Andrew McCabe is not on the side of the president. No surprise considering his huge ties to Hillary Clinton. McCabe was heading the Clinton email investigation last year. Time Hillary's best buddy Terry McAuliffe donated $467,500 to McCabe's wife 2015 state Senate campaign. This was followed by another $200,000 from the Virginia DNC. Doesn't seem like the kind of man I'd want leading the FBI. The final article for this morning is off of Anti-Media. Massive corporate of local news underway. Will allow one broadcasting company to reach 72% of U.S. households through ownership of local news stations. It was reported this week the broadcast group is buying Tribune Media for nearly $4 billion. Such a move wouldn't have been possible a few weeks back, but Donald Trump's new Federal Trade Commission chairman, Ajit Pai, just began implementing sweeping changes to previously established media ownership rules. Bloomberg explains a Sinclair Tribune merger was made easier last month when the FCC restored a rule that allows TV station count just half of their coverage area for ultra-high frequency stations to comply with 39% nationwide by Congress. Reporting on the news, Democracy Now! Invited the president and CEO of Free Press, Craig Aaron, to comment on the significance of the purchase. Well, you know, we're really concerned about so many things happening at the FCC right now, Aaron told the host, Amy Goodman, because Ajit Pai, Donald Trump's pick for the head of the agency, has been dismantling all kinds of consumer protection and regulations, certainly net neutrality, which many of us consider the First Amendment of the internet, your ability to go online, do whatever you want, go wherever you want, and download whatever you want. Aaron calls the merger and the others that will surely follow, given the loosening of regulations at the FCC, an unprecedented wave of media consolidation. He asserts that an awful lot of power is about to be concentrated in only a few select spots. So we're seeing a concentration of power on the broadcast side. At the same time, they are building up these powerful new gatekeepers of the most powerful companies and just paving the way for them to do whatever they want. Using Sinclair as an example, to talk about how broadcasting giants are able to push the content they want across multiple platforms simultaneously. So they to try to buy up multiple stations in the same market, have one newscast going on multiple channels, as well as doing as much as they can from Sinclair headquarters in terms of pushing content out to their whole network. Moves at the FCC scandalous. Aaron highlights the complexity of modern media and says that now, more than ever, we need an aware, conscious populace. So at a time where we need more local news, more competition, more choices, better informed communities, what we're getting is the same cookie cutter content coast to coast. That's all I have for you this morning. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news, and don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll stay informed.